Yes, hello world, welcome. What is up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte, and we are here live at the Build Studio in New York City. And I'm so excited about our next guest. In Syfy's brand new original series, Krypton, we kick off 2 generations before the destruction of the legendary Man of Steel's home planet. The show follows Seg-El, Superman's grandfather, as he fights to redeem his family's honor and save his beloved world from chaos. And joining me here in just a few short moments is none other than the man himself, the grandfather to the granddaddy of all superheroes, Mr. Cameron Cuffe's in the house. Make some noise. Right? Right? Oh, man. So exciting. So Krypton premieres this Wednesday on Syfy, and Cameron will be out in just a second to tell us all about it. But before we get to that, I believe we have a scene from the upcoming premiere. So, Luke, let's go ahead and run that clip, man.
Why so surprised? Didn't think we'd find you.
Honestly, you look like you'd have trouble finding your own ass with both hands tied behind your back, and my guess is you're the smart one. That was fair. And I deserve that. So I should apologize. Please tell your wife and your sister I'm gonna be late tonight. If that's the best you got, maybe I won't be as late as I thought.
Burn. Guys, make some noise for Cameron Cuffe. Come on, do it up. Seg-El himself. Cameron, thank you so much for being here, man.
My pleasure.
Congratulations on this show. I was telling you in the back, I got a chance to see the first couple episodes. It is phenomenal. It's awesome, and it's so fun and so enjoyable, and I'm very excited for you, man. This is wonderful. How before we get into it, before we get into the whole process, the whole story of how it came to be, I always love starting off just finding out how my guests are doing. Just, Cameron, how are you, man? How are you doing?
I'm really bloody well. Yeah, I'm great. Like, that's my face. Like, that it's a bizarre time I'm having, but it's a wonderful one too.
That's pretty awesome, man. I'm happy to hear that. I gotta ask, in that clip, is it nearly as gratifying as it looks to break stage glass like that? The way that thing just
so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, I was using all of them. Like, we only have a certain amount. And I was like, one more. Let's do another take. Come on, one more take.
Really handled this.
Yeah.
Really, that's pretty awesome. I saw you guys just were at South by. You had the big premiere, the big launch over there. That must have been really fun.
Amazing.
First time seeing. I mean, like, first of all, this show is very cinematic in the way it's shot to begin with. So I imagine big screen, big audience. That must have been a fun experience.
It was amazing. And the one piece of advice I would give to everyone who's going to watch the show at 10/9 Central on 21st of March is on the Syfy Network, is find the biggest screen you can. Because this really is a super cinematic show, and that's what we were going for. You know, all the sets are real. So little of the show is CGI. At being there and doing it, I felt like I was on the set of something like Empire or, you know, A New Hope. It was really amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, there's definitely a legacy to live up to when you call yourself Krypton, when you're telling the story of inarguably the superhero. Yeah. So there's a lot of pressure and a lot of weight and a lot of eyes on this. Did you guys feel that on set? Did you feel that responsibility? Or was there sort of a zen-like state of, we all love this, we know we're doing the best we can? What was it like?
It was sort of a combination of the two. The thing is, when you're sort of going through it all and you see, you know, an iconic location from the comics that I won't reveal just yet, or, you know, you see the symbol. You know, I held Superman's cape. That's, you know, that was a moment for me as a fan. You know, to be holding the physical representation of the greatest superhero who's ever lived. So yeah, you know you're coming into something, but it is a wonderful something. It's a legacy of an amazing character. So it's a real joy to play in. And I think for all of us, we thought we're going to have some fun with this. And also the joy, too, is that we ain't really making a prequel. This is a show that involves time travel. And the great thing about the superhero genre and the superhero genre being popular now is that we've seen so many great superhero films and TV shows, and we have so many great comic books. There are a lot of traditional stories out there, and it's getting to the point with the genre on a mainstream platform like TV or cinema where we can start taking some narrative risks. You know, and I think that's really exciting to us.
For sure, that's a really fun thing about the show and about sort of where we are culturally with superhero projects and superhero stories. Is for a while, every time a new superhero story happened, it was the origin story. That's where we all had to start. And we had to slog through that and figure out what this. Even if it was a superhero's origin, we've seen a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Studios were still retelling. But here, it's all fresh.
Yeah.
There's things that are familiar. There's things that you've seen before, and things you know what those are going to become or what they may become. But it's a brand new story, and it's very, very exciting. As a Superman fan, as a bit of a comic book nerd, going into that, reading that, what did it feel like to be able to be one of the first to not only explore this new area of the mythos, but to bring it to life?
I think that was the thing that really got me, is that we're paying tribute to all the amazing stories that have come before, and when we're making the show, when we designed, you know, the look for Krypton and the things we wanted to do, and when I was putting together the character, there's so much awesome stuff to draw from. You're drawing from the comics, you're drawing from Donner's film, you're drawing from Man of Steel. You know, there's so much in there, and we got to take all of that. We got to take all of our favorite influences from things like Blade Runner and Star Wars, and make what we feel is the ultimate science fiction society. So exciting.
So cool, so exciting. All right, let's dial it back a little bit and talk about. I want to get to the beginning. Like when did you first enter this world? What was the audition like? Did you know what you were auditioning for? How far? Let's start at the beginning.
So an email arrived in my inbox from my agent that said Krypton. I thought, great, never going to get this. And it genuinely was that. I started out in London in theatre and indie film, and I was sort of learning the ropes and sort of going through that. I was just out of drama school and I'd done a few things, but I was thinking, this is really big. Yeah, this is huge, and I'm a fan, and you know what? I'll do my best, but at the end of the day, I'll just watch. I'll be content to be a fan. But I did all right, and then I went in to meet the director of the pilot, Colin McCarthy, and I sat down with him, and I had an audition, and it went really well, and I didn't get it. So sure enough, my agent called me up and said, you know, there's loads of competition. They're casting in America and Australia. Don't worry about it. I was like, right, no big deal. But it never really went away. It kept sort of cropping back. So could you do one more tape for us? Could you do one more tape for us? And it got to the point I was working here on a TV show here. And the day before I wrapped, my agent said, could you do another tape for Krypton? And I was like, they know me, right? They've turned me down for this multiple times. Are they all just having a laugh? And then my agent said, you know, I'll go back to them and ask if they want something different. And then she called me the next morning, said, do you have your suitcase with you? And I said, yeah, I do. And she said, good, because the second you wrap, you're going to LA to test for David Goyer. And sure enough, 12 hours later, I was in a room with David testing for the character.
That's wild. What do you, especially as a fan, what do you have to do as a fan first, then a professional actor? What kind of mental gymnastics do you go through to not get in your own head and freak out over the fact that you're about to be a part of the Superman family?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm constantly freaking out all the time. Like, how could you not be? It's Superman. Like, that's the cape. You know, it's how could you not be in constant awe of it? And that's a good thing. That is a wonderful thing. And the good thing that I take for granted is how well I know it and how passionate I am about it and what it means. And I when you're reading the script and there are sort of certain references and certain things like that, I instantly know what that means. I instantly know what world I'm stepping into. I think the thing is, when I was testing and I was meeting David, I just thought, be cool. Like, don't tell him that you're a mad fanboy and you love everything he's ever done. That's not a good opener. That's not too cool. But so I thought, get it on your merits as an actor, you know, and then use all of that knowledge as an actor. And I think that's the thing, is that the beautiful thing about acting is that it's always the same game. Whether you're in a theater for 90 people or you're on a screen for 90 million people, it's all the same game. You're still trying to be truthful.
Talk about, okay, you get the role, it's happening, it's reality now. You are Seg-El. What does the preparation look like? Because we've been to Krypton somewhat, definitely in the comics, that's happened, but I don't think we've gotten the deep dive that we get from this show.
Yeah.
So there is some reference material, but where do you really start to look? What do you start to pull from to create and flesh out Seg? Like, how did that work?
A lot of different things. You know, one of the things with the character is that it's the hero's journey. This isn't quite Kal-El. He's not that sort of person. He's not a truly noble individual. His morals aren't fully formed. He lives in a world of shades of grey. And so I thought, when I looked at this character, this is much more similar to someone like Ripley from Aliens. This is someone who's much more similar to Indiana Jones. He's a good guy and he's a capable guy, but he's thrown into something that is completely over his head. So I would watch things like, you know, the Dollars trilogy, Sergio Leone's Dollars trilogy. So like, what are the hallmarks of a hero? And then I would go back to Jeff Johns and Gary Frank's Secret Origin and look at that beautiful Superman they created. And I thought, how does he hold himself? Look at like little characteristics and little sort of facial twitches. Like, what is the hallmark of him? How do you know that there's like a little bit of a genetic connection? And then on top of that, I would be doing loads and loads of training. And I was going from the script first because the script has to be your Bible when you're preparing for a character. So I'd come at it that way, and doing all of the fight training and the weights and the strength training and all those circuits. It makes you hold yourself a different way, and it gives yourself a sort of perception of that determination of staying in the ring for one more round, which is very true of Seg.
One thing I thought that was really interesting, I was reading about some of the training and stuff that you were going through, is that it was obviously a different goal than like bulking to be Superman. Because you're not bulking to be Superman. There's a different reason for the physicality. There's a different world entirely. And just talk a little bit about that background and how you constructed what your fitness goals were going to even be. How you got into that.
Yeah, so I went to a fantastic gym in London called Bodyism, and I said, prep me like we're prepping for a fight. That's what I went into it with. I knew that this was a guy, he's a street fighter, he's a hustler. He's someone who, his body looks the way it does because it's the consequence of a very hard lifestyle. He's someone who literally has to fight to survive, doesn't always have the most nutritious diet because of where he lives, and he's a big drinker. That was sort of what I went into it with. It's like, I don't want to look like a supermodel. Like, my goal was like, look like Rocky from the first movie. You know, because that's what it is. It's someone who lives a hard lifestyle, and it has to be practical. I was like, I don't want to look cut up and ripped like I'm on the cover of a magazine. It has to look practical. It has to look like I can get in a ring and hold my own.
I love all these different places and different genres and characters that you're pulling inspiration from. I'm curious, as you're doing this, as you're going through this process, and you're sort of reverse engineering in a way a character, sort of looking at Supermans and historical Supermans and all that stuff. Did you ever at some point go on like an introspective journey and start thinking about your own personal grandfather and like maybe what you've pulled from there as a person and just how that trickled down over time? And
gosh, yeah, I suppose I didn't, but it is an interesting thing to think about. And legacy, like my grandfather survived Dunkirk, he was there. Like, and the things that you sort of think about, wow, I could never do anything that brave, or that selfless or courageous. And sort of, I think what that does give to Seg is that, in our show, there's the great House of El, this house of revolutionaries and free thinkers, who are the voice of reason in their society and fight for unity and justice. That's a hell of a lot to live up to. And then this guy who sees you at your very lowest comes along and says, hey, guess what? I'm from a planet called Earth from 200 years in the future, and I'm telling you, your grandson's going to be the greatest hero in the universe. Ever. Like, how do you bridge those two things? And that, I think that's what is really interesting. How does Seg come to fill that symbol? How does he bring it forward? How does he bridge those two realities?
As a comic book nerd, when you were reading through for the first time, you realized Adam Strange was going to show up. Did you geek out pretty hard? You're like, oh my God, this is so cool.
I thought this is amazing. Yeah. This is so great. And the thing is, as I said, this show isn't a prequel. Like, it has immediate stakes. And Adam Strange, the guy who plays him, Sean Cephas, is just such a fantastic actor. And we have such a wonderful time. And Cameron Welsh, the showrunner, sat us down when he first arrived in Belfast, and he just sort of said, have you seen Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? And both immediately went, that's my favorite movie. And from then on, it was just like, that's what it is. Like this sort of like odd couple, sort of like weird couple relationship. And we do a lot of improvising, and we have a lot of fun with it.
That's awesome. That's an interesting thing to be able to improvise within this sort of fantastic world. How long were you doing that right away? Is that a chemistry thing? Is that a familiarity with the material thing to be able to be comfortable to do that?
It's a little bit of both. You have to be in an environment where people encourage you to do that and want you to do that. And the thing is, because this is a massive epic science fiction show, you got to make it seem real, because the great thing about great science fiction is that it's not about aliens or monsters or robots. It's about us. It's about how we connect with each other. And when you put your own spin on it and you sort of bring your own sort of thing to the characters, that's what sells it. that's what gets you into that spot. So part of it was that Sean and I became mates, but all of us on the cast were that way. It's such a wonderful, brilliant group of actors.
Without giving anything away, because we've talked a lot about how it's not a prequel, and especially with the time travel element introduced and all the different things that are going on, it really, the show does a great job of being able to set up a world where it can subvert those expectations as a Superman fan. As a self-proclaimed Superman fan, couple of notches above aficionado, as we discussed backstage. Reading through, looking ahead, was there a big turn or something that happens where you go, oh man, I didn't even see that coming? Like,
yes.
Were they even able to fool you, like as somebody?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. And even after all you've seen, even after the pilot, I promise you, this show is not what you think it is. This show... I can't even tell. It is truly spectacular. It's one of the most ambitious things I've ever seen in a script, let alone in a comic book thing. The thing is, we are here to blow minds, and I think that's what we're gonna do. That's pretty awesome.
Especially with what I've seen so far. It's so much fun already. I'm very excited about where it's going to go and what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I have literally 40 seconds before I got to turn it over to the audience, but I wanted to ask you something. I was reading somewhere that you don't remember the first time you said Superman's always been present within your life.
Yeah.
It's just kind of always been there. But if you could scratch back, do you think you can what do you think is the first memory you have? I remember my earliest memory. I was wondering what yours was. It's going to depend on age, too.
Memory of Superman. I think it was probably the animated series, because I grew up in the time of the great animated, the Bruce Timm, Bruce Timm
one.
Andrea Romano animated series. So I think it was probably through there. It was probably the first time.
Yeah.
But for as long as I can remember, I've been tying a red towel around my neck and jumping off the couch. Not anymore. It was something I did when I was
give you something a little more official.
Yeah,
yeah.
Now they pay me to do it, which is great.
Wouldn't that be crazy if you got there and it was just a towel after all these years?
Yeah, I was like,
that's how they film it.
I'm very at home with this. Yeah.
All right, last one I'll ask, because I am very curious. I love just sort of these Superman fan coming into this world kind of moments. Do you remember the first time you walked on set and you saw this symbol? Do you remember the first instance of the symbol? And you're like, this is real?
Yeah, I mean, that has been the entire show for me. From episode 1 to episode 10, it was just, there was constantly a moment every day where I just sort of catch myself and think, wow, I'm here and I'm doing this. I'm a part of this.
That's pretty amazing. Since you're so good at it, when can they see the show again?
You can see this show on March 21st on Syfy, 10, 9 Central.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Congratulations one more time. Yeah, you could applaud, please. Please do.
Oh, thanks so much, guys.
Congratulations. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, man.
Cheers,
and
man.
I'm really excited for you and excited for this show and excited for everybody to see it. To that end, let's get some questions. I know we got some microphones out there.
Hi.
We'll start right here. Hey, man.
I was wondering about the wardrobe in the show. How similar or different or alien was it like to you, or did it help you get into character? I know you have the logo, and different houses have their own logos, but was it besides that, were the wardrobe any different? Or
yeah, well, when you wear your costume, it's sort of the last element of the character. It affects the way you move and the way you walk and hold yourself. But the cool thing about the society is that it really is, even though there's epic scale, it's really, really precise and it's really detailed. So all of the glyphs mean something. There are glyphs for each of the guilds. Different guilds will dress in different ways. The military guild will be very practical. Can you fight in this? The artisans guild will be sort of very flowy, and they have these magnificent green capes. So there are sort of things that will pay homage to certain elements of the comics and the films. But it's very well thought out, and it really helps you be there as an actor for sure.
There was, and maybe I'm crazy, but I could have sworn some of the graffiti was even done in the Kryptonian. Yeah,
it all means something.
It all means something, right?
It all means something. Yeah. Every single bit of graffiti and street signs, it all actually means something.
That's pretty wild. Maybe that's the detail, but was there something when you were walking around in this real physical world that you were like, oh my God, they even did this? Like that blew you away, like a little detail?
The crazy thing was eating alien food. It's because they do have to design food that you can eat, and it's really and they'll take sort of like rice paper and craft it into something really gross and like different colored jellies that are not so nice, but look really cool and really funky and yeah.
Pretty awesome. We got time for a few more questions. The next one's going to come from right over here.
Hi.
Hi.
Out of all the episodes, which one's the episode to watch?
Gosh. Well, I don't know if I want to tell you that, but I will tell you something. I have a draft on my Twitter right now that just says, I told you so. And it's in answer to the fact that you have seen nothing yet. This show is not what you think it is. And at some point after a certain episode, I will post, I told you so.
That's a really cool response. We have time for Rennie. How many more? One more? I got one more question for you. It's going to be right here.
So with Krypton, like, how much of the culture are we going to get to see? Because there's like so many different variations from both TV and film. I was just wondering, like, how does that all form on this show? Like, is there like any inspirations that they taken from?
Yeah. Well, if you're familiar with the new Krypton arc that Jeff did, there are the different guilds. We have a really precise society. There are 9 different city-states on Krypton, and different cultures that exist within Krypton. All of those things that are things we want to explore both in this season and in seasons to come, hopefully.
That was awesome. Thank you for all of those questions. We're just
Thanks
out
so
of
much,
time,
guys.
so I gotta get out of here and let you go. You got a million things to do, but I just can't see. When is the show on again, Cameron?
I believe
when is
it might be on March 21st at 10/9 Central on the Syfy Network.
Fantastic.
Watch Krypton.
Guys, make some noise. Do not miss this show. Cameron, Cuffe, everybody.